Ram trucks built to serve.
Welcome back. We're talking a little Cam Newton this morning. The former MVP still on the open market with the Patriots, consistently in the conversation. But our friends over at Fox Bet give New England just the fourth best odds to land Cam, behind the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nick, factoring fit and style, does Cam make sense for the New England Patriots?
Yeah, he makes a ton of sense for the New England Patriots. And people say fit and style, and I understand that. But what is the Patriots' style or system post-Brady? It's a blank canvas. It's not like you have a bunch of entrenched star receivers that have to play a certain way. You don't even really have an offensive system that you have to do a certain way. You can meld that, as the best coaches do, to the talent. So could Jared Stidham run a very, very poor man's version of Tom Brady's offense? Sure. But if I'm the Patriots, I'd rather a different style of offense that, by the way, is not that different than what they like to do, which is run the ball. Now you'd have a quarterback who can run it with a far more talented quarterback in Cam Newton. Wilds, the only part of this that doesn't make sense is my part of it. Because if Cam Newton goes to the Patriots, I'm going to find myself rooting for the Patriots at times next year. And that's something I am not comfortable with. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Pats fan, and you obviously are, I would desperately want Cam Newton over the Stidham-Hoyer combo. To me, that's obvious.
I love it, because if you start rooting for the Patriots, a commutative property, you would also have to root for Tampa Bay. So it would be this odd kind of like triangle of rooting interest for you.
No, I would.
Look, I'll take Cam any way possible. I think we're thinking long-term with Cam. Hey, Cam comes up to Foxborough, gets his number retired in 10 years. I'm all for that. I'm also all for the other side of things. Cam, come up 1 year. Give it a shot. Redo your deal. Come in. Have a big resurgence year. Sound familiar to anybody? Boom. Randy Moss had 3 touchdowns with the Raiders. Bill Belichick, hey, why don't you come over to Foxborough? Then what happens? 23 touchdowns. Start setting records. I'm okay with Cam coming just for 1 year. Here's the other thing we like to think about. Matt Castle, 1 year wonder. Won 11 games, threw for 3,500 yards. Then what happens? Goes over to Kansas City. Nick Wright's doing radio. 6 years, $62 million. Next thing you know, Nick Wright is online buying those big head Matt Castle shirts. He's got the Matt Castle posters in his room. Just loves it. Matt Castle pens while he's on his Kansas City radio. So I'm either way, I'm good. Nick can become a Patriots fan. Just like he was a Matt Castle fan. And then Cam is back in Foxborough.
No, Nick?
No. The answer is no. Just go ahead, Jenna. I'm not responding to the lies about Matt Castle.
Just want to make sure.
No.
Greg, let me ask you a question. When it comes to Cam Newton and the Patriots, don't Cam Newton and Bill Belichick both have something to prove? In that sense, wouldn't it be a good matchup for the two?
You know, I don't know if in that sense it would be a good matchup to prove, because Belichick has something to prove that's a little different than Cam. Belichick's something to prove is that he can win without Brady. And I think his proving that point would be better suited if he didn't have a quarterback like Cam Newton insert himself within that offense.
Oh.
Now, Cam, on the other half, you look at him and his situation, I agree with Wilds for like, it's kind of wild that I'm even agreeing with Wilds. But if he comes in for a short stint, a year, maybe 2, but a year pretty much would be it, and then resurges himself and really rehabilitates his ability to be this leader that all of a sudden no one thinks he can be, and this great talent that all of a sudden no one thinks he can be, and he potentially wins or goes deep into the playoffs with the Patriots, who we know is typically going to always be there, that would be huge for him. It would put winning back on the board. It would definitely show teams that he's willing to suppress whatever his agenda that they believe is just so bigger than the team, lay that to the side and just win and focus on football. But I think Cam Newton would be a phenomenal fit for the New England Patriots. Again, Bill Belichick's thoughts are probably a little different, but winning is all he cares about. And if he wants to win, Cam Newton can give that to him.
Nick, can't you see Cam Newton using this year almost like a bridge year, going and spending a year in New England and then trying to land a big deal the year after that?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting idea. The problem for Cam would be that if he's really, really good in New England to try to go land a massive deal, the Patriots could then respond by franchise tagging him, like, oh, you're so good, now you don't get a long-term deal. We're going to get you on a one-year, a second-year trial. So maybe you would have to work out some deal like Brady had where they can't franchise tag him. But I think that's really smart. And when I hear the other teams being tied to Cam, a team such as Jacksonville, if I'm Cam Newton and I think I have 5 to 8 more high-level years or 5 to 8 more years being a starting quarterback, he's only 30 years old, so that would put him right in line with the quarterbacks we see now. Wilds, as much as I hate to say it, like I said earlier, I'm an unbiased analyst, take my fan part out of it. I think 10 million super cheap for a quarterback, but I think 10 million in New England would be worth more for Cam than 25 million in Jacksonville. I truly believe that. And so I don't know if those would be the numbers, but I do think if you're Cam, you have to consider how long do I think I have and how do I have one more really big contract in me? And if so, what is the best place to set me up for it? Because that's probably not coming around this time around, Wilds.
I totally agree. I think, like, we're not talking about the NFL draft. It's not like, oh, he's going to go to the Chargers or the Dolphins. Like, where does he want to go? If I'm Cam Newton, I'm looking around. I'm an MVP. I'm a #1 draft pick. I'm a Heisman Trophy winner. I'll decide where I want to go. And I can move my salary up and down depending on the situation. And if I'm Cam Newton, and we talked about this with Brady, if winning is your #1 option, why not go to the winningest franchise in the NFL? It makes total sense to me, Jenna, that he heads to New England.
Yes, but New England was the winningest franchise in the NFL, perhaps because of the guy who's no longer on that team in Tom Brady. So I think Nick makes a good point that now you're starting fresh. There is no real style or fit or personality except whatever Bill Belichick mandates there. But keep in mind, guys, Cam Newton 2-0 against Bill Belichick. He knows that team. He plays well against that team. So maybe that is a plus for Bill Belichick to want to bring him in. Anything with that, Nick?
Well, Greg, let me ask you this. When you've played against a guy, like for the guys on the Patriots, the defenders on the Patriots, I feel like they assuredly, even though they practice against Stidham, and I don't have a ton of time here, but Greg, I want your thoughts on it. They have an air of respect for Cam that's different because he's in this league, right, Greg?
Exactly. You will immediately respect a guy who you've seen and, quite honestly, who you've lost to. And Jenna, you said it. He's beat the Patriots twice. Not too many players can say that they've done that.
All right, let's take a slight turn here. We may not have an NBA season, but you know what we do have? We've got Nick Wright. And lucky for us, Nick spent the weekend watching all 239 of LeBron James' playoff games, which is funny because so did I. Unlike me, though, Nick made a list. Nick, my friend, take us through it.
All right, so here's the deal. Someone asked me what are LeBron's 10 best playoff games? Where does the Detroit 48 special game rank? And I said to myself, you know what? That's a great question. We've got time here. So over the next 2 weeks, every day we're going to unveil one of LeBron's 10 best playoff games from 10 to 1. But in order to do that, we have to first mention the games that missed the cut. So what you're about to see is LeBron's 20 best playoff games that are not in his 10 best playoff games. So somewhere 11 to 30 are, and these are in chronological order. I'll go through some of these quickly. That first game you see, 32, 11, and 11, that was his first playoff game ever. First playoff game ever, 21 years old. How about a 30-point triple-double? That 2008 game, the next one, first Game 7 ever. The greatest Game 7 player other than Bill Russell in NBA history gives you 45 points. That East semis against Atlanta, how about a 47, 12, and 8? No one even remembers it. Orlando, those two games in the same series, 49, 6, and 8, 37, 14, and 12. That Game 5 facing elimination. 2010 East semis at Game 3 at Boston, 38, 8, and 7. That was the series, remember, that he quit on the Cavs, his final series with the Cavs, dropped to 38, 8, and 7. That 40, 18, and 9, the next game, They were down 2-1. They hadn't won a title yet in Miami. They're without Chris Bosh. He drops 40, 18, and 9. That triple-double beneath it, that's how he won his first championship, triple-double game 5 of the finals. 30, 10, and 10 against Indiana. That was where he had the buzzer-beating layup to go up 1-0 in that series. 37, 18, and 13. That Hawks team won 60 games. Give me the next 10 that didn't even make the top 10. I'll go through these a little bit quicker if we can. The next one, that's a game 1 against Golden State in the NBA Finals. A little 40 points. That's a game 5 in the same NBA Finals, a 40-point triple-double. That's the final game of those NBA Finals, 32, 18, and 9. I remind you, the guy who guarded him that series won Finals MVP. Now we'll go to more recent times. A 41-point triple-double against Indiana to go up 3-0. How about in the finals against Golden State again, facing elimination, 41, 13, and 8. And then the last time we saw him in the playoffs, that 46, 12, and 5 included the game-saving block and the game-winning buzzer beater. And then in game 7, 45, 8, and 7. The very next round of 43, 8, and 14. And then in the finals, 2 straight games against the Celtics, facing elimination, down 3-2, 46, 11, and 9 in 46 minutes. And then in game 7, 35, 15, and 9 in all 48 minutes. So those are all games that are not in LeBron's 10 greatest ever. So let me give you his 10th greatest playoff game ever. It is one I think we all remember. Kevin Wildes was there. Game 2 of the 2015 finals at Golden State, a Warriors team that was 39-2 at home. They had lost Kyrie Irving. They had lost Kevin Love. And in overtime, LeBron gives you 39, 16, and 11. And I remind you, in that game,